first Western Tennessee virtual meeting with presenters from the Western Tennessee area. Again, my name is Albert. My colleague, Ms. Micah Tucker, who is the IT person who's running it, I hope everyone has a schedule. If not, we will post the schedule up. The other thing is, for just a couple of housekeeping duties, if you have questions while the presenters are presenting, would you just please put it in the chat box? And at the end, the facilitator, Dr. Calvin King, will get all the questions out of the chat box itself. At this time, we will have Miss Leticia Miller, Vice President of Operations and Chief Financial Officer of Arkansas Land and Community Development, to give us a prayer. Ms. Miller, are you there?
I am. Can you all hear me?
There.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can't.
Okay. Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we come thanking you this morning. God, we thank you for you just being you, God, who you are and what you stand for. God, thank you for this meeting. God, thank you for every last participant that's on here. God, give us grace and favor on today. God, allow the information that's presented, God, go in, God, in the name of Jesus, and help us, God, to do what needs to be done. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
For the prayer, Ms. Miller. Mr. Tucker, would you put the agenda back up, put the schedule up to where everyone can see a copy of the schedule format that we're going to go by? Here's a copy of the schedule. We have the facilitator where we are now on the president. We're going to have some work. We had remarks scheduled by Mr. Shelton Hightower. Ms. Burst just called me this morning, the public affairs manager for the Tennessee office, and said that Mr. Hightower had a conflict and he won't be able to be on this morning at the first part. Second, after that, we have from the United States Department of Agriculture, Natural Resource Conservationist, Area Resource Conservationist, Mr. Matthew Denton, and he's going to talk about how USDA and Natural Resource Conservation Service foster sustainable farming, conserve our natural resources while increasing sustainable farming profitability. Then we're going to have USDA Farm Service Agency. They are not going to be on. Dr. King will facilitate and let individuals know what's going on, the newest things that are happening with Farm Service Agency. After that, we have the Small Business Administration with Ms. LaTanya D. Channel, State Director, Community Development Resources, COVID-19 stimulus and payroll protection plan. After that, we will have United States Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Ms. Alyssa Armstrong, Natural Resource Conservationist, COVID-19 stimulus program. And after that, Dr. King will close it out with next step, closing remarks, and Q&A. At this time, we'll have Dr. King, Dr. Calvin King.
Might say good. This one is higher. I'd say good glad to have your participation in today's conference session. Hightower being present. The overall purpose of this particular meeting is to bring to the public, and particularly to the underserved community, limited resource individuals, the various resources that's available to our local communities and specifically to our farming community and those who are landowners. As we go through the process and you listen to those resources, and we can talk later about what some of the barriers are, that for some reason, based on what the numbers show at present, they're very disproportionate in relationship to the historically underserved population, particularly again, African-American population, as well as other underserved segments of our population. Again, we're talking about resources available by the agencies, and then those individuals who continue to be left out, not getting access to, or possibly not clearly understanding the process is that would enable them to benefit from the resources available. Also, in certain cases, as you listen to the presenters, you'll find that individuals may not necessarily know or understand how beneficial these resources can be as it relates to both economic development, as it relates to the overall retention, be it for their businesses or if it's for their family farming operation, as well as new opportunities. It may be a beginning business, it may be a beginning farmer, it may be one who wants to be a first-time homeowner, and various other areas. So my point is that the overall agenda has a lot of diversity based on the resource agencies here that's going to be presenting. And I'm going to encourage all of those who are participating to take your questions. And if you're not able to put the information into the chat box, you don't get into the chat box, and they'll let me know what those questions are. Then you can do where you raise your hand, and we'll make sure that the IT person goes to you that will allow you to actually ask the question that you may have to a particular resource individual. So we're gonna go at this point. The first person on the agenda, the first agency and resource agency is Natural Resource Conservation Services. Matthew Denton, who was the Area Resource Conservation. We heard the information from Mr. Jones. Is Matthew Denton ready to present?
Yes, sir, I believe so. Can everyone hear me?
Mr. Denton, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Can you hear
we
me?
can hear you.
All right.
Yes.
I'm going to attempt to share my screen and then I'll get started.
Okay, I can hear you. I'm hoping everyone else can hear you as well.
I can hear.
Okay, and I'll speak loudly. Would somebody give me confirmation that you're seeing my screen as well?
Yes.
I can see your screen too.
All right, let me minimize the thumbnail. Okay. Well, I am Matthew Denton. I work for the Natural Resource Conservation Service, and I'm certainly glad to be here this morning talking about the many opportunities that we have available with NRCS for sustainable farming. And I'm mainly going to focus on program opportunities as that is my main area of expertise. So I just want to give you a little bit of background on the goals of NRCS. We are on a daily basis helping people help the land and working with all of our customers to address our many resource concerns that we have in the area. So we want to make in Area 1 and the state in Tennessee, we want to make as many opportunities available to all customers. I know the focus of today is on our historically underserved customers, and you'll certainly hear more about that as I move through the presentation. Today, I'm mainly going to focus on the financial assistance opportunities that we have through our various programs, but keep in mind that there are other opportunities available through our agency in the form of partnerships and easements. And just as a reminder, all of our programs are provided on a voluntary basis. First, I want to focus on the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. And this has been our flagship program in the state for many years. It's been available to all of our clients across the state. And this is where we provide opportunities to improve our situations, our natural resources, address resource concerns, provide both financial and technical assistance to producers on all types of landscapes. And I've got some examples of some practices that we do in West Tennessee, but we're looking at trying to conserve our soils in West Tennessee, improve water quality, improve wildlife habitat. And in the meantime, while working through this program, we hope to improve production in many areas as well, such as utilizing high tunnel systems, some irrigation systems, things of that nature. So just some examples of some practices offered under this program umbrella. Cover crops, many of our erosion control practices that you see, our water sediment control basins, our diversions, our terraces. We also have a plethora of livestock options, prescribed grazing, fence, water systems, pipeline, all those things, wells for livestock water. Those items are available, and many of our opportunities are available through special initiatives. I mentioned high tunnels, and that's an item that is gaining popularity for historically underserved producers, specifically especially in urban areas, where it allows folks to start early on vegetable production and allows them to go into the frost season in the fall and still maintain a high level of production. Many years getting two crops in 1 year. So it's a real benefit, especially in those food deserts, as you might have heard folks reference, urban areas where that local fresh product is in high demand. We have opportunities for organic producers, folks that are transitioning. We also have energy opportunities and two opportunities that I'm very proud of that we utilize at a high level in West Tennessee is the Mississippi River Basin Initiative and the National Water Quality Initiative. And both of those are available currently in many of the counties that we're focusing on today, in Shelby, Fayette, and Hardeman counties, with the Mississippi River Basin Initiative project that's starting this year in the Loosahatchee watershed. So very, very proud of those efforts. A couple of photos, some slides here. This is just to kind of give you an idea of what we're working on, areas that we try to improve. As you see, a substantial classic gully is in the photo here, the before photo. And then this just shows you the kind of practices that we can, the kind of improvements that we can make after we complete our projects through our various contracts. This is a multi-practice system here, utilizing critical area treatment, mulching, and grade stabilization structures. In this case, it's cattle panel rock. Here's some more photos. Cover crop, as I mentioned, animal waste systems, many livestock systems, especially where we're working on excluding livestock from any sensitive areas. Stream bank stabilization is a very popular practice, very much needed practice in many of the counties that we're focusing on today. And here's an example of a small high tunnel that I was referencing as well. Excuse me, I didn't mean to skip ahead. That system has sidewalls that open up and ends that open up, and that plastic allows for the air temperature inside and ground temperature inside to be at a higher level compared to the atmosphere, the adjacent areas outside of the tunnel. So that was EQUIP, kind of in a quick snapshot of EQUIP. Our one other option that I'm going to focus on today is the Conservation Stewardship Program. And this is also available on ag and forest lands in the state. And this is a bit different than EQUIP. This particular program, you have to have a certain stewardship level prior to being eligible for this program, but participants earn payments for that level of conservation. And then they earn additional payments for achieving a higher level of conservation. So the Conservation Stewardship Program usually follows the EQUIP program, just in typical situations. It's not a requirement, certainly, but normally folks improve their land through EQUIP, and then they maintain it and just get to a higher level of conservation through the Conservation Stewardship Program. Some benefits from this opportunity are increased production, it's just sustainability there for the ag operation, increased sustainability, decreased inputs, better wildlife opportunities, habitat options there. We do a lot of pollinator planting in Area 1, which benefits many aspects of production and wildlife habitat. We also have some increased resilience to weather extremes as well through the stewardship program. And I'm not able to see any of the chat, so if there's a question that pops up, if someone would just stop me, I'll be glad to take those during the presentation, or we can hold those until the end and I'll address any and all questions at that time. Here's some examples of some conservation stewardship landscapes. And this is mainly photos of ag operations, but I don't want us to forget that we have a lot of non-industrial private forest land options as well. And many acres in the area are enrolled through the Conservation Stewardship Program on forest acres. We also, on both systems, both ag land and forest land, we can and want to take associated ag land and farmstead acres as well and provide financial benefits there as well, and options for enhancements on those land uses. I wanted to share this screen with you, and I'll pause here just for a minute, but this is our state website, and I have highlighted the program tab here. So if anyone wants to jot this website down, I'll be glad to provide this presentation to the folks that will be able to distribute it to the folks on the call this morning. And if anyone has any wants to refer back to the presentation, they can certainly do so. I've got all of our contact information included as well, and I also I'll do a quick demo on our website on where you can find contact information for the county in which you are interested in pursuing program delivery. I want to shift now and talk a few minutes about historically underserved participants. And I've got the definitions of these 4 categories that we have designations for as an agency. And I just want to say that we're constantly looking at ways to improve both program delivery to these groups, as well as, and it was mentioned earlier, as well as technical practice, enhancement, whatever is planned, implementation. We realize that in some cases, producers that have not historically worked with us as an agency are new to the operation, or whatever their case may be, we realize that they may need a little more assistance to get to the level of threshold that they need and want, and that we need and want for them. So just keep that in mind as I talk about these, and as we work with historically underserved participants, as an agency, all of these designations are self-certified. So what we try to do is guide folks and provide them the definitions. We cover the intent of each category, and then we also cover what will be required if they are selected for a random audit. And we just got through doing one of those in the state to confirm that we were adhering to all the requirements. So the first one that we have is a limited resource farmer or rancher. And this is a producer that has gross farm sales not more than the current value and has a total household income at or below the national poverty level. So we want to certainly help these folks, and they get an increased payment rate, as do all of the other historically underserved categories that we're going to talk about. There is a self-determination tool. There's a link for that. Again, if the presentation, when it's provided to you, that is a hyperlink to that site. But each field office, the take home here is each field office will be able to guide potential applicant clients, customers through this process and help them make the best decision if they feel like they meet this definition. The next opportunity is for beginning farmers and ranchers. And this is for a participant who has not operated a farm or ranch for more than during any of the 10 consecutive years. And they, but now they're making decisions and are substantially participating in the operation of that farm. That is the definition of a beginning farmer. There was a new requirement moving forward that was just put out recently that in Tennessee, a state conservationist, Mr. Sheldon Hightower, has an exception for non-industrial private forest land. And I'll just say that there's some additional requirements there. The conservationist in each office will have the details on that. I don't want to get into the specifics today, but I just wanted to mention that is new for Tennessee, and it does require some additional documentation for NIPF, non-industrial private forest land owners and operators. Socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher, that's our next category. An individual who is a member of one of these groups. You can see that there. We provide additional support for any of these categories, and we encourage participation through all of our programs for everyone, of course, but specifically for these groups. And they've received, in many cases, an additional payment rate amount, additional incentive, and they also receive incentives when it comes to environmental benefit ranking scores. So just wanted to highlight those. And then the last category that we have as far as historically underserved designations for the agency is veteran farmers or ranchers. And this goes hand in hand with beginning farmers. So you can either be a veteran and meet the definition of a beginning farmer, or you have obtained your veteran status in the most recent 10-year period. So there's an or for this one. Again, local field offices will have the details on this and this option. And there are some guide sheets that we're currently preparing in the area that will be available soon to all of our field offices to help guide folks and in making those self-certifications. The veteran farmer and rancher, beginning farmer and rancher, and limited resource producer all typically need a little bit more clarification than what's in the conservation application, the 1200 form. And we are currently working on that in conjunction with our advisory team. Just to show this, this is if you're participating as a group or an entity, a joint venture, the percent interest of HU participants has to be 100% for each category except the socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher category. And then if say you had a husband and wife that one member was socially disadvantaged and the other member was not, that would still be eligible in that example for the socially disadvantaged designation. So that's an allowance that we have made as well. And I want to talk a little bit about specific options available to historically underserved customers to provide additional incentive to participate in our various programs. One of those that is a real benefit and that we are promoting as an agency is the advance payment option. Now, this is where a customer is eligible to receive up to 50% of the practice payment amount, what's in the contract for that particular practice. And this is by contract item number for purchasing of materials or services. So I used the high tunnel example earlier. This 50% advance payment option would be available to a participant to purchase the kit or a large part of the kit, and the manufacturer go ahead and send that product to the participant, and they can go ahead and begin work. Whereas in the past, that cost would have relied solely on the participant, and they would have had to absorb that until they got the practice installed and completed, where we could certify the practice and make the payment. So this is a real good option, an opportunity for historically underserved customers only to receive advance payments, and it certainly provides additional options for folks that may be limited somewhat in a financial capacity. Pardon, I hit the slide advance too soon. A couple more things here. You can either choose to receive that option or not. You just have to tell the field office up front what your plans are. But when you do accept that advance payment, you do the clock essentially starts. So you have to have 90 days to expend those funds. And it does remove some of the flexibility on the amounts as well. So field offices will have details on this, but this is certainly an option that I would like for all historically underserved customers to consider. And it's something that's going to be offered across the board to all customers meeting any of those 4 designations. Other opportunities available to historically underserved customers. There are separate funding sub-accounts set up for both in the CSP program as well as the EQIP program that funds will be designated on an annual basis to these groups. So that's states are targeting funding to those groups through those programs in that way. There's also enhanced ranking benefits, as I mentioned earlier, to historically underserved customers in both programs. That's another benefit, another way that we're trying to ensure that we help these customers and clients any way that we can. And for EQIP, historically underserved participants do receive an elevated payment rate for all practices under the EQIP umbrella for those some of those items that I mentioned earlier and others. As I said, in Area 1 in West Tennessee, we recently formally established a historically underserved advisory team, and we are looking at opportunities for improved implementation as well as program delivery to those underserved customers, and just a precursor to this team in some of the items that we changed from FY19, fiscal year 19 to fiscal year 20. We implemented a workload prioritization tool targeting HU customers, historically underserved customers, and we saw a 10% increase from 2019 to 2020 in historically underserved participation as a result of that. We want to build upon that and certainly provide those opportunities to those customers. And in working through this team, I believe that we are going to be able to even go to the next level and provide additional opportunities for our historically underserved clients. I have a website here that has local contact information inherently in this site. You can click on this, and I can certainly demo that if we have time. But I have the contact information for each county represented here. These are the district conservationists in each office, and there's a phone number. And I'll leave this up for just a minute and let anyone that needs to take this down. But just know that that there is a link in this presentation that will take you and allow you to access any office in Tennessee. But these are the counties that are represented here today. I think we have several of these folks on the call with us, but Ethan Pipkin is in Tippin County, Fred Walker in Shelby County, Dexter Howard is the district conservationist in Fayette County, Adam Willis is in Hardeman County, Jared Kelly in McNairy County, and Mark Roberts is the DC in Hardin County. So at this point, I'm going to pause there for just a minute. I'll take any questions if there are any, and be glad to address those. All right, if there's no questions, I'll be glad to turn it back over to the moderator, and I'll stop sharing my screen and turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Denton. I'd like to do this for the audience, a couple of things. And Mr. Denton, if you would take this note down to the point that we may want some additional clarity on. One is in reference to conservation loans, how NRCS partners back with Farm Service Agency when there's a conservation loan involved and there is a contract or pending contract with NRCS, 100% financing on a conservation loan versus the advance, how that process worked in working with Farm Service Agency. The other possible a little bit more clarity on is going to be on the elevated payments. You know, the elevated payment rate, the comparison of the elevated payment rate versus what would be a normal payment rate. The other area I want you to take note on as well, and we can talk about this a little bit more on the end, is your definition of farm, and one who may become a beginning farmer that have access to land, and how they would have to, what their responsibility would be, or how they would be able to bring that land into the eligibility requirements to be defined as a farm. And we can come back to that, a little bit of additional clarity on that. The next one on the agenda, we're going to move things along. Next on the agenda is going to be a Farm Service Agency. To my understanding, we will have a Ms. Tanisha Smith that will be possibly participating on the agenda in that area. If not, Mr. Jones gave reference to yours truly by itself as being one that would talk about the FSA program opportunities as it is so appears on the agenda. Is Ms. Smith, Ms. Smith, are you on? Do we have anyone on from Farm Service Agency? Okay, well, I will proceed. Let me say, first of all, again, my name is Calvin King. I'm not with Farm Service Agency. I'm with Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation. I'll note as far as Farm Service Agency's programs, and this will not be all in detail as to what they do, but one, they are the lending arm for USDA Farm Service Agency. On one side, they serve as the lending agency, both with direct loans, as one way that they make financing available to farmers, both beginning farmers, the underserved segments of the population, and the direct loan areas might be as a regular loan up to $400,000 for operating loan, and $400,000 is for as a capital investment loan for land purchases and things of that nature. A little clarity, prior to becoming eligible for the capital investment loan for land purchase or acquisition, unless those regulations have changed, and correct me please if anyone knows if there are any changes, one must have been into the farming business for a minimum of 3 years to qualify for that loan. The other loan under the direct loan program is the micro loans. Now, the microloan, they have been doing that for a period of time, not as long as they have been doing the regular direct loans. It's not as much financing that's involved, but this is for what we call the small farm operators, are those who may be, as we classify them as being urban micro farming operations. The maximum for that loan for an operating loan is $50,000. The capital loan side, again, is $50,000. So if an individual is dealing with 1 acre, 2 acres, even what may be defined as a garden at this point, and maybe a half acre or less, those type of operations can become eligible for the microloan if, and this is the if to it, if that land has a farm number. Now that means that you would have to work with Farm Service Agency or apply for a farm number for that land that you may be raising vegetable crops on, other, it may be herbs and things of that nature, but you can get those particular operations established as actual farms and eligible for all USDA program services. You may be within the city limits of an urban city or town, or you may be outside of the city limits, any rural area. It may be where you're just living on a few acres. Again, maybe 5 acres, 10 acres, whatever, and that's your overall homestead. But it's not defined as, it does not have a farm number. If it does not have a farm number, and you are with agricultural production, and you want to access resources to enable you to operate in a fashion from a business perspective and become part of the local food supply in your area, in your county, within the state of Arkansas, state of Tennessee, and they have some tremendous markets in Tennessee, then you would need to get a farm number to qualify for the microloan or any other loan program services with USDA or any services in general. The other part on that, it would apply back to NRCS as well. If you have the small acreage, you're interested in establishing it as a farming operation, establishing your small acreage as a farming operation, you need to get a farm number. You would qualify for all those services that Mr. Denton talked about as well, equips particularly being one that you would qualify for. And there's a lot involved. You saw from this presentation what all is involved in that as far as conservation program itself is concerned. 90% cost share, particularly on the underserved segments of the population, that would enable you to do things such as irrigation installation, installation of other practices as it relates to the eligibility requirements with NRCS. I gave reference to a NRCS conservation program, and it's a 90% cost share. And then again, you also have the conservation loans under Farm Service Agency as well. So if you wanted to go ahead and get the operation done and 100% of your financing being available, then I would encourage you in putting together the farm plans, or whoever's working with you, and you're putting together your own farm plan, that you put together those farm plans that more comprehensive, that it involves both the, as far as the operation itself is concerned, the financial needs as for the production aspects of the farm, and as well as the conservation aspects of it as part of that loan, with the application to NRCS to get the program services to cover that 90% cost. And that's all figured into the plan as a projection on revenue and dealing with the debt servicing back to Farm Service Agency. The other area I'm going to speak very generally about is on Farm Service Agency program service side. And this is not on the lending side, but I'm going to, before I go to the program servicing, the other lending side they have outside of the direct loan, as I mentioned, as their tools for providing services to farming operations, is the guaranteed loan program. Now that guaranteed loan program basically works that if you have a banker or a lender, other financial institution that you are working with, that you have access to financing with, then you can get a direct loan from that particular lender and get a 90% guarantee on that loan through Farm Service Agency. So you may be a beginning farmer, you may be one who is graduating. You may be at a point of graduating from, as they call graduating from Farm Service Agency. Normally, the eligibility under Farm Service Agency is 7 years that you're in that program on direct lending. They like to move you out of that system where you have lower interest rates and other to operate more in the traditional system with the banking institutions or other financial institutions after a certain period of time. Now, again, knowing that on the front end, at the beginning farmer, and how your plans are projected out for a 10-year period, then you need to develop those relationships with the banking institution, which ultimately overall enhances your overall ability to be able to access financing in a more diverse manner. And again, that's back to the guarantee program using a traditional bank. It may be Farm Credit Services. It may be a CDFI, what they call Community Development Finance Institution. A lot of those institutions also provide financing, and they're considered what they call preferred lenders with FSA, that they do partner with them to provide the guarantee program. I would encourage you to also communicate with the financing institution to know that they do work with FSA if they are a preferred lender, where Farm Service Agency provides the guarantee on their direct loan that they make. And those are normally a 90% guarantee, particularly working back with the underserved segments of our population, historically underserved. Loan guarantee program, the other being the direct loan program. Another area, and I call these tools to work with, you may be a farm operator that has been with FSA for a period of time, and you need to further diversify how you bring your financing into your farming operation, as maybe a beginning farmer and maybe one that has that's just getting in, and one that has been in, say, for 3 to 4 years or 5 years or so. One can also look at what their security position is, ultimately their overall balance sheet that they have with the farming operation and equity position that they have. And where you have used that security directly with Farm Service Agency as a direct lender, and how you can leverage additional financing back from the lending institution, be it bank or other financing institution, for your operation. You may have capped out with FSA, as an example. You may have already reached the $400,000 limit, and you're expanding your operation some, and it's going to be in excess of that, or maybe dealing with a capital investment. What you can ask, they will work, and they have worked with farmers on, is what they call subordinations. Basically, what that allows Farm Service to do in partnering back with their preferred lenders is say, our client that we've been servicing with direct loans, we will subordinate or release our first lien position and give that first lien position to a bank to allow them to make a direct loan to an individual, be it for operating purposes, capital investment, or whichever. But those are basically the tools that they deal with from a direct perspective, both on the guarantee side and on the subordination side. And I call subordination also a tool, a means of providing added security of guarantees to allow the banking institution to become the direct lender. Again, direct tools with Farm Service Agency and the private sector banking institution. The other side you have with Farm Service Agency is on their program side. On their program side, and I encourage those who are producing vegetables, is to understand all of the program services that FSA has to offer. One is the crop insurance NAP, which is the crop insurance under Farm Service Agency on non-insurable crops under the traditional insurer. So it may be, and again, it'd be on vegetable crops and various other crops as well. But they also provide that program services and what we call risk management. Risk management is very, very important. I know all farm operators know this, but if you're looking at going into the business, Risk management practices is very, very important on the part of the producer. It's important on the part of the lender as well, because that gives added protection against the investment they're making in you as a farm business operator. They have other programs. I'm only going to reference this particular one that's out now, and I'm only going to reference it because it is linked back to the COVID-19, the Commodity Food Assistance Program, CAF. Now that's a program payment, that's made available to farmers. There's an application process and how you sign up for that. The fact that FSA is not speaking on this, I'm not going to go into details on it, but I would encourage you to contact your Farm Service Agency local office on the sign up period timelines for the Commodity Food Assistance Program. Again, it's a program payment area, and these are not the only program payment area that comes up under Farm Service Agency. Emphasizing again, you have the lending side on Farm Service Agency, and then you have the program side on Farm Service Agency. And on this program side, there are other, what we call market assistance and subsidy type of payments that comes into play through Farm Service Agency to create feasibilities for these farming operations. I won't go into all details regarding those, but I would strongly suggest to individuals in Tennessee, the target areas we have, contact your Farm Service Agency office regarding the programs that's available to farmers, how to access those programs, and what the eligibility requirements are for the program. Again, that's on the program side, Commodity Food Assistance Program, the risk management side of the programs, and the market subsidy and other subsidy type of payments that's also a part of the Farm Service Agency. Some individuals, when they look at program services, you look at NRCS, that's a program service agency, and what it does from a conservation perspective. The program service side, another one this is conservation as well. And I'm only going to reference this because, again, it is a tool, it is a program area, and it's on the FSA side, it's not under the NRCS side. But they do have a conservation program that's under Farm Service Agency, and that's called the CRP, the Conservation Reserve Program. Sometimes we've had producers to get confused on, say they want to get into a conservation program, and they may go to talk to FSA about getting in the conservation program, but that conservation program is on the NRCS side. It's not the Conservation Reserve Program. And the Conservation Reserve Program is totally different from what a number of some similarities, but it's different from what the NRCS conservation programs are, what they consist of. Again, those are the program side. In summary, some of the program sides with Farm Service Agency, and then those are it's the financing side with Farm Service Agency as well. The previously mentioned in the tools and how they support farming business operation, both urban farms as well as rural farming from a financial perspective, and then the program side and how they do the same from that perspective. I'll be more than happy to respond to any questions that anyone may have in reference to FSA. If we are not able to answer those questions, we can assure you that we will get the answer from Farm Service Agency and get back with you, or we will refer you directly to Farm Service Agency regarding the particular information that you may want to get, whatever it is you want to get more additional information on. That's our business. That's what we do as an agency. We can't afford to just know Farm Service Agency programs or NRCS programs. We have to know to a great extent, not to all the technical aspects of it, but as far as what they have available and how to access those programs, and those individuals you need to contact in order to either get signed up for them or to make application for it. And we also work with individuals in developing the farm loan business package. That's what we do. We develop the farm loan business packages for those customers for farm service agency, be it micro loan or your regular loan program. And make sure you get the maximum benefits of other services even on the program side from the agency as well. That's all I have. Again, any questions or comments that you may have, I'll be more than happy to entertain those. I'm going to now move on to the next area on the agenda, and I'm really excited about this agency that's coming aboard. And let me just say this, people, you know, things happen, and I say as they happen. The challenges that we've had over the past year with COVID-19, I have seen an expansion of partnerships, both on the private sector side as well as the public agency side, with agencies, particularly with Small Business Administration, and understanding more and more about all of the resources that they have available and how they use those resources in our local communities, and the opportunities to access those resources, not just for urban areas or small towns, is for across the board. So I've been very excited about that. I've really been amazed at some of the things that's occurred with those partnerships that have been taking place. So I'm going to go at this point again. The next one on the agenda is Ms. Chanel. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Mr. Denton, he's uploaded a PDF for people to download.
Okay. Okay, I was just told by our technology person, IT person, that Mr. Denton has uploaded a PDF that individuals can download this particular PDF that was a part of his presentation, as well as information on resources available with NRCS. So he's uploaded that now. NRCS has, and that information can be downloaded, giving you direct access to it. Mr. Denton, we really appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Again, next we have on our agenda, we're going to keep things moving forward, and hopefully we'll have some very good participation and engagement on the end. Take your questions down so the resource people can respond to those questions and make sure we get the right information out there to the maximum extent possible. Now, Ms. Chanel with Small Business Administration, she's the state director for Small Business Administration in Tennessee.
Thank you, Dr. King. Can you all confirm that you can hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Yes,
So thank you for the introduction. As Dr. King mentioned, I am your state director for the Tennessee Small Business Administration, and we're honored to be here today to get this information out to the public. Just a warning, it's a lot of information. We're going to try to get through it really quickly, but please know we're not going to leave this call without making sure that you have access to us and can reach us. Most importantly, I want to make sure that those of you in West Tennessee know that I have a staff member dedicated to just West Tennessee. I have 9 staff who are in Nashville, and I have 1 staff member who's located in Memphis that covers all of West Tennessee, who's available to assist you. So I'm gonna let him do the main part of the presentation, but a couple of things I want folks to pay attention to as he goes through the presentation. One thing, he's gonna mention briefly in the presentation a feature that SBA has created called Lender Match. And the reason why I want you to take note of Lender Match is because it's a new a feature that SBA has offered where you can go in, you log into Lender Match from sba.gov, and you can say, hey, I'm thinking I need an SBA loan, and I'm looking for some financial assistance, and this is what I do, and this is what I think I need the loan for. And as a result of that, the SBA approved lenders will look at that and get your profile, and they will reach out to you. So that's one of the new features that SBA has to help connect you with some of the guaranteed loan programs that we offer. So pay attention when Eric notes that PowerPoint on Lender Match. Another thing I want to mention, I know a lot of folks are aware of PPP. You've heard it in the news for the last year, the Paycheck Protection Program, and also EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program that SBA does. every Monday at 11 a.m. Central, my office does a webinar where you can log in and get your questions answered. And we call it Get the Facts on PPP and EIDL. We know that there's a lot of information circulating and not all of it is the best information. So we want to make sure that every single week we get out the new information, what's new, what's changed, and we take questions. And every single week we have a good 35 to 40 members of the public who call in or log in on their computers just to make sure they have their questions answered on PPP and EIDL. So that's every Monday at 11 a.m. I also want to take note that also every single month, Eric Terrell, who is our specialist located in West Tennessee, he and the team lead a session that we call SBA 101. And it's a session that we do every single month just to introduce the public to all the programs and services that SBA offers. With the pandemic and with the new programs that SBA put out as a result of the pandemic, a lot of people didn't know that SBA did other than loans. So that's why we launched the SBA 101 series that we do every single month as well. I also want you to pay attention to, there's a particular slide that we put in the PowerPoint that talks about exporting and international trade. So the bottom line is that SBA provides grants to states all over the US to get information out to businesses that may be exporting, may be thinking about it, or not even realize that they're considered exporters for the purpose of SBA programs and services, particularly for some of our loan programs. Many of our SBA lenders are participate in the SBA export loan programs where there's even greater guarantee from the federal government for those particular loans. And a lot of businesses don't even know they're exporting. Of course, with the pandemic, there was not as much of ability to do some international trade or to attend some of the international trade expos that occur around the country. But please know that the state of Tennessee does have grant money from SBA so that when the world opens back up and you're looking to do exporting or thinking about it, there is a pot of funds that are available to businesses to go to these international expos outside of the United States. And then as Dr. King has also mentioned, and Eric will also mention as well, there's of course PPP and EIDL, and there were some recent changes that we'll make sure that you're aware of. So again, I'm Latanya. My contact information, I'll put it in the chat, and it's also in the PowerPoint that Eric is going to show. And with that, I'm going to let Eric go ahead and get ready. Eric Terrell is we call him our senior area manager for West Tennessee. I'm going to let him do the bulk of this presentation, but I will be on the line. And if any questions come up, I'll be monitoring the chat along with Eric, and we can take them as we go along or at the end. Eric, are you ready? Excellent. So I'm going to turn off my camera so I won't be a distraction.
Good morning. Can everyone see my screen? Hello?
Yes, we can see it, Eric. You might want to hit slideshow. It'll magnify it and we
Yes,
can see it a
ma'am.
little better. We can see it bigger.
Slide show. I see it at the bottom, but it's not. 1 second. It's starting to load right now. I'll give it a chance. All right, it's done loading, so give me 1 second. There you go. Good morning, my name is Eric Terrell. I'm the Senior Manager of Small Business Administration, and like Latanya, Ms. Channel said, I'm
Hey,
gonna go ahead and
Eric, I'm
start.
sorry. We're not seeing the slideshow presentation. We're just seeing your PowerPoint that just shows the first slide.
Can you see the?
You want me to try it on my end? Oh, there
Can
you
you see
go.
it?
There you go. There you go.
Okay. What about now? You can see it?
Yes. Are you able to It's showing the notes part. I'm sorry, everyone.
Yes, I'm
Get
trying
to
to get that out right
Yeah.
now.
All right, let me turn off my.
Let's see, I don't know why. Bear with us 1 second. Let me do something. Give me a minute, please. Bear with me. Let's see. I'll get it. Is it still showing the slides, the talking points?
Yeah, it's showing the slides and it's showing another slide on the next side. You may have to stop it and start it again.
Yeah, I am. Thank you. Let's see. Let me get out of this. Get back to this. Bear with me 1 second. Let me try it again. All right. It's buffing right now. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with this part over here. I still see let's see. You know how to do it? I can't get it out. I'm sorry.
Let me see.
I think
if
you
I
may
can do
want
it.
to, there's an option if you click the dots and it says hide presenter view, that may help. I think you're in presenter view.
Hide video panel, hide.
It's where the three
Yeah,
dots
I'm
right
at
above slide 2.
right above. Oh, okay.
That may help. I'm not exactly
Who
sure.
is that, Jade?
Yes.
That's why I love you. Is it working now?
Yay, thank you.
That's Jade. Everyone, that's Jade Clark. She's with Ag Launch, and she will be. Jade, would you like to go first or after I do?
It doesn't matter. Since you put me on the spot, I'll go I'll go ahead and briefly introduce myself. My name is Jade Clark, and I am with Ag Launch. Ag Launch, we are an ag tech company. We're based in Memphis, and we have been designated as an SBA Regional Innovation Cluster. I think there are a total of maybe 11 nationwide. We are the only one focused on agriculture. We have a farmer network that's pretty active in trialing technologies. We pair them with startups that have different ag technologies that are focused on all sorts of things, including soil health, water, conservation, robots to help with labor, drones. We have all sorts of technologies in our portfolios, and we're connecting our startups and these entrepreneurs to farmers so that they can trial the technology, be a part of the development process, and sometimes, most times, they get equity in these companies. So we're in the process of expanding into Arkansas and Mississippi. We're pretty well established in Tennessee, in the state of Tennessee. But I will put my information in the chat. And if you guys are interested in our program, I also put our website for you to just check us out and get more information. And if you are interested in doing business with us, then please reach out. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Jade. So once again, my name is Eric Terrell. I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation, and I'm going to go through some of this material somewhat quickly just to respect your time. But if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat, and my director and I, we would try to answer those questions. Thank you. The SBA works to ignite change and spark action for small business. We help you start, grow, and expand, and even recover your business, especially during this time of the pandemic. We like to say we like to help you change, adapt, and overcome because of the pandemic. That's one of the things we're doing right now, is to have small business owners think outside the box because of the pandemic and doing things differently compared to being in face-to-face or formal meetings and webinars, seminars. We're doing everything virtual. So that's one of the things we talk about when we do our webinars. Which resource partner is right for you? The SBA funds about 1,400 partners nationwide. We have local resources. We have the SCORE, which is Senior Corps Retired Executives. We have the Tennessee Small Business Development Center both are located here in Memphis, Tennessee, and throughout the country. If you go to sba.gov/local assistance, you can find one in your area. We have over 60 district offices, 950 small business development centers, 300 SCORE chapters. And what SCORE is, they are retired executives from different industries that can help you start a franchise, sell a franchise, start any type of business, because they have the background as far as having one or sold one. They have a wealth of knowledge to tap into. And we have VBOX, Veteran Business Opportunity Centers. And we have 100 women business centers. One is located right outside of Nashville. To find your local resource, just go to www.sba.gov, click on local assistance and type in your zip code. And that will populate the information that you would need. It'll highlight it as the map is showing. It'll give you all the centers that's close to you. Building capital as your work business develops. Grow and expand. It's very hard right now to think about growing and expanding your business because of the pandemic. But this is some great opportunities for a lot of small business owners that have developed, adapted, and overchanged during this pandemic. We are the world's largest buyer of stuff. We call it products and services. I'll call it stuff. We spent $500 billion on stuff. Not just weapons and tanks and things like that, but on products and services, laptops, pens, paper, you name it. We buy stuff, federal government as a whole. Required by law to provide contract opportunities to small business owners. We're the only cabinet level agency that assists small business owners. We are the one. We were created in 1953 to do that, and so far we've been doing a good job. You can evaluate your readiness and learn more about visiting www.sba.gov/federal contracting. Federal contracting is my wheelhouse. And we have actually 5 set-asides, but one I'll talk about later. These 5 set-asides are mandated by Congress, not the president. And each federal and DOD have to meet these percentages goals for prime contracting. That's $500 billion. In other words, if there's a $500 billion opportunity, just doing easy math, 5% has to go to women-owned small business. 5% goes to small disadvantaged businesses. That includes the 8A business development program that I help small business owners do. The Hub Zone, 3%, service disabled veteran, 3%. And there's another one, it's veteran owned. And there's a radio button in betasam.gov. All you have to click to get that. But this is our primary goal, is to assist you getting certified in our set-aside programs. As a woman-owned, you get 3 distinctions. You get woman-owned, small business woman-owned, and economically disadvantaged woman-owned. So rural areas are considered Hub Zone also. And there's a map that I will give to you, the web address, where you can see if you're in the Hub Zone. Like I stated earlier, the 8A business program, just to go down real quickly, it's a 9-year program. The first 4 years are the business development years, meaning that the SBA is going to take you under our wings, and we're going to teach you the landscape of federal government contracting to speak the language, to understand how to read an agency's forecast, how to do a capability statement for the federal government, not for the city, the state, or any local entity. The hub zone is a historically underutilized business zone. Think of it as an area of town where you get no federal or rural area that you don't get any federal foot traffic. And the federal government said, do not move, stay in that area and hire people in that area to get this set aside. This is one of the hardest ones to get because a lot of small business owners, when they become successful, they move out of the hub zone area instead of staying in. And I teach them what it is and how to do a application, whether you are an S Corp, C Corp, or LLC, a sole proprietor. We have different checklists for that, also for the 8A program. As I stated earlier, a woman-owned, you get those distinctions, and I would tell you how to certify yourself. And we have service disabled vet. You go to vetbiz.gov, but you also need a letter from the Veterans Administration certifying that you have this disability and what the percentage. It doesn't matter if you're 1% or 100% disabled, you qualify for that. And the website, like I said, is www.sba.gov/federal contracting. You need capital, you need access to capital, SBA can help. We can help you launch, grow, repair, startup, small business, access revolving credit, purchase or renovate, expand facilities, purchase inventory, anything you need, or even export your products or services. This is why the SBA was created, to assist small businesses in the plethora of different areas. While the SBA may have specialty loan lines or programs, we have the 7A can be used for almost any purpose, to include buying real estate equipment or anything. And then we have the small micro loan program. It's great for startups and grow or repair your credit from $500 to $50,000 plus free business counseling. That is very important. And then, of course, we have the 504 Certification Development Company Loan Program. It is a competitive fixed rate mortgage finance to purchase land, heavy equipment, real estate. And I think this would be a great one for ag lunch. I mean, not for ag lunch, but for the land base in Arkansas or West Memphis, West Tennessee. Funding from private investors. We have funding programs, research development, funding to make you more competitive. So we have a gamut of financial tools at your disposal. Like I said, we back our loans with competitive terms, lower down payments, flexible overhead requirements. We make sure that we can assist you with any loan program. And we broke them down in 3 categories: the 7A, the micro loans, and the 504. You can also secure capital from investing partners through the SBA investment companies. The website is listed at the bottom. I'm quite sure we can make this presentation available if you want it. Technology focus, we provide federal grants from 11 federal agencies. And some of the key areas are artificial intelligence, nanomaterials, clean energy, water filtration, education technology, and wearable technology. Security bonds programs. We just did a webinar last month. We have a lady from I believe the first name is Teresa, from the district headquarters office that goes around and do webinars from state to state, city to city. The next one that I will have, I'll make sure that I provide that information so you can log on to it. I know I'm talking fast. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat, please. We have specialty loans. I talked about the 50, the 7A, the micro, and the 504. One of the key, and I can't stress this enough, that our resource partners can help you develop is a business plan. That is the building foundation for everything else. You need to have a business plan. Let your local small business development center or your Tennessee Procurement Assistance Center, or even I do assist in doing business plans. We can do expense sheets, financial statements, financial projections. Like I stated, they can do a lot more than you can even imagine. We can do special analysis. We can break the data down for any industry. So describe what you need, invest in lenders, you get a reply within 2 days. You talk to the lender and apply for the loan. This is what my boss was talking about, lender match. SBA.gov/lender match to find a lender in your area. Reimagine your potential as you branch out and going global. One of the hardest things right now is to think about expanding your business during the pandemic. But to be honest, this is the best time to change, adapt, and overcome. This is where you need to start having your creative juices working hard to get out there and start going globally. I know the pandemic is upon us, but you still can do proper planning to properly execute in the future. Get counseling, get training from, we have David Leonard, he's our expert. He goes around and gives classes on this, but you can talk to the small business development centers. You can go to state trade programs, export express loans, working capital, international trade loans. There's so much information. And like I said, David Leonard is one of our experts on export and imports. You can find this information at sba.gov/exporting. Triumph over adversity. How do you recover? Road to recovery. My director talked about that, and we have this initiative, Road to Recovery, because of the pandemic. How do you triumph over adversity? You have to do proper planning. You have to understand that this year has been hard. We didn't have an explosion. We have several tornadoes, disasters. All these natural disasters has happened. But we have loans that covers real estate, personal property, economy injury, machinery, inventory, even for active duty military. Right now, we're doing the PPP, we're doing the COVID economy injury disaster loan, debt relief. We're gonna start, I believe, tomorrow. The shelter venue program is gonna be out there. Yes, tomorrow. Paycheck protection has been extended to May 31st. Whether you're doing the first draw or the second draw, we did talk about debt relief with the 7A loan, the 504, and the micro loan. The economy injury disaster loan is still out there. You can get a target advance. And tomorrow it's a shelter venue operating grant. And then there's one more coming. It's the restaurant grant. So the deadlines for COVID relief, it has been extended from the 31st to 2020 for the EIDL. The amount has increased up to $500,000 for the economy injury disaster loan. The deadline is for the PPP is May 31st of this year. There's no longer a subtraction, meaning the advance from the idle from the PPP. In other words, if you got an advance from the idle loan, I'm just going to do easy math. Say you got an advance of $1,000 for the idle loan. They back in the past, they would subtract that from your PPP. That's no longer a subtraction. You get a full K, an additional 5K, or a total of 15 for a target advance. You can do loan deferment up to a year. And then for PPP Schedule C filers, you can use line 7 for gross income instead of line 31 for net profit. A lot of changes have changed over the last year when it came to the PPP and the idle loan. Here's some of the websites to stay connected with us. We have Twitter, Instagram, we have Facebook. The Tennessee District Office we have an admin staff that send out newsletters. They send out information about our webinars and seminars and anything that we're doing. You can go to the Tennessee District Office on www.eventbrite.com and you can find that information out. I really recommend the new one that's coming out, the Shutter Venue Operators Grant, which is tomorrow. It's gonna be information on that. I stated this earlier, to find your local assistance, just type in www.sba.gov, put in the zip code, and it'll find that person or that Small Business Development Center to assist you in your local area. I went through that material rather quick because I want to respect your time and see if we have any questions that my director and I can answer for you. Thank you. Are there any questions at this time?
And this is in reference to the, I know you mentioned the PPP, we're pretty familiar with that, and you mentioned the EIDL loan as well. And I saw out from that, it showed grant. Now, all these forgivable loans that's been dealt with under the COVID-19 relief at this point.
So are you asking about the PPP in general? Or are you asking which ones are forgivable? Is that what you're asking? Dr. King,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
as he gave the listing, yeah, he gave the listing, and then he had the EIDL. Is that one also? That's a, and he had the parenthesis grant.
Okay,
So the EIDL, is that a grant forgivable loan like the PPP?
so there's two components to the EIDL. As a matter of fact, there are three, but as it concerns coronavirus relief, there's an actual loan. It's a low interest, 30 interest loan that President Biden and the current SBA administrator just decreased to the allowable amount of 500,000, used to be 150. That's a loan, low interest. But then the other part of the EIL, it's called an EIDL advance. You hear about it in the news. It's called a grant because you do not have to pay it back. And last year it was announced that it was going to be $10,000 per business. That got reduced to $1,000 per employee. So what's going on now is more money has been added to that. Congress and the president added more money to the targeted advance, which is the grant. You don't have to pay it back. So those who tried to get it last year and didn't get the full 10,000, or if you tried to get it last year and you didn't get anything, you should be getting an email from SBA saying, hey, we know you tried last year. Here's your opportunity to get the full 10,000 if you got less than 10, or the full 10,000 if you didn't get anything. And then there's been a recent change that some of the businesses who have been hit the hardest, that suffered a greater than 30% reduction in revenues, they can now get up to 15,000. So you don't apply for this like you did last year. You have to wait to get an email from SBA. Those emails are going out every day. We tell people to check their spam because it could be sitting in there, but you're correct. The targeted advance, it's like a grant. You don't have to pay it back, but the EIDL loan, you do.
And one thing to add, back then, when it first came out, it was based on the number of employees for the actual advance, but now I don't think it is, correct, boss?
You're correct, right? Those emails that are now going out are saying, hey, last year you only got $1,000 per employee, but now you can get the full 10 or the full 15,000. You are correct.
So like my director stated, we would send an email to the small business owners. I know I get a lot of calls saying I didn't receive the advance, and I said, well, we're in the process of making sure that you do receive an email, and we have to explain to them, it's a lot of small business owners, but we got a very limited staff, and it's just a matter of them getting to you. That's why it takes so long.
Did I
So
answer your
I understand that process, because one of the things very important now is that if they get an email, they should pay attention to the email and respond to it accordingly.
Absolutely, please. And check your spam. Every time I talk to a business owner and say, check your spam, they go to their spam and they find that SBA email. Yep.
Boss, we have a question from Kathy Brown. She said, can you explain the qualifications for a small farmer for the PPP?
When she says a small farmer, is she talking about as long as it's a business? What does she mean qualifications? We need more specific so she can reach out to us after us. Is there something more specific in her question?
Ms. Brown, are you on the phone? I mean, on the call? Can you answer that, please?
I may be able to answer that. If she's giving reference to the small farmers, most of the farmers, at least in our area, and what I've read and I've seen with the private sector institution on the PPP, the banks were the ones that were making those direct forgivable loans under the PPP program to farmers. Now, the requirement initially, under the first phase of it, when they were doing it, farmers were going in, particularly the underserved farmers, they were going in to apply, and they were saying that they did not qualify if they showed a loss in that business operation. Well, that changed. Farmers Legal Action Group and some others went back in and did dealt with the reinterpretation of what the legislation actually meant. The second phase under the PPP, if you go and then you apply for the PPP, one is you must have your schedule F. The other is, even if you showed a loss on your farming operation, you still qualify because they base it on gross income now. And of course, based on the calculation and the formula they use for that, and that income be a determining factor of the amount of the forgivable loan that they will make available to you. Again, on the small farmers in general, and I know this has been very, very stressful for a lot of the small producers, particularly the minority population. They were not getting the services, they were not getting the PPP financing, the PPP forgivable loans, as other farming operations were doing so. Under the present administration also, and with this extension would apply, put a priority on underserved and minority population, those who did not get service the first go round under the PPP. You operate directly back with your bank.
He's talking about line C.
I
mean, line 7 on Schedule C.
Banks do the PPP. Now, if SBA, I'm assuming, I don't go over the statement.
So yeah, it looks like she specified what her question was, and you already addressed it, Dr. King. She was asking about line 7 on the Schedule C. Yes. So there was a major change that line 7 on the Schedule C can be used as opposed to line 31. Line 31 was, you mentioned, Dr. King, was based on the net
Yes.
profit, which in many cases would have been 0. So there was nothing to calculate the loan on. So now it's based off the gross on line 7 of the Schedule C. So now
Yes.
you can actually have an amount to calculate that PPP. But you addressed it, and that's what her question was. Yep.
Are there any other questions? If not, we thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity just to share some information about the SBA. Thank you so much.
Just to show the public and those who are participating and that's participating in the meeting, SBA has uploaded the PowerPoint information. So you can access that information directly now on the PowerPoint, and all the information has been presented. That information has been uploaded. So all of you who are on participating in the meeting, you can download that information now directly, so you'll have it. Now, we have to get better. Let me just say this about us, and I know Mr. Nall and Eric, you all heard me talking last week, and we're going to get better at this. We're out of the rural area. We're out of the country. Our campus area consists of about 300 acres of land. A studio setup we have here. We have another conferencing center across, and we're probably doing our broadcast of meetings from there in the future. We have moved it here temporarily right now. We normally do different settings here in this particular venue. But the point is that the information is accessible now. It has been downloaded. All of you should have that information. You can download that full presentation, and any follow-up or any questions you have after this particular meeting. I would strongly encourage you to contact Small Business Administration, and of course for this particular area, the counties we have targeted for this meeting. Eric, as I understand it, he is the regional person for that part of Tennessee, and a very resourceful person, I might say, at that. If there are no other questions, then what I'd like to do is move on, and this is the final one on our agenda. If there are any questions, any of you have written any questions down, or you have questions you have not put into the chat box, we're going to open it up for other questions that individuals may have, or points of clarity you may need regarding any program area with the resource individuals. We're now on the agenda with USDA rural development. And the person we have as a resource person, Ms. Alicia Armstrong. Is Ms. Armstrong available?
Yes, I'm here.
There she
Good
is.
morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us.
Good morning, how are you?
Sir? Oh, okay, I thought you had said something. Thank you for having me on for this event. I really appreciate it. It's so good to see all of our partner agencies that's sharing this information. And we are so glad to be here today. I am an area director here in Tennessee with the USDA Rural Development Team. And I've worked as an area director in the West Tennessee area the majority of my career, which I've been with the agency 28 years. And I've been area director for 10 years. So I'm currently working on the state level in portfolio management, internal control for our program directors, and promoting specialized programs on the national level. But we have 8 offices across Tennessee, and our Union City and Jackson area office covers all of the 21 counties in West Tennessee. So I will provide you with that information later. USDA Rural Development provides loans and grants to help expand economic opportunities and create jobs for the rural areas that we serve. And our assistance supports infrastructure improvements, business development, home ownership, community services such as schools, public safety. We want to make sure that the rural communities have access to high quality education, healthcare, even the municipality services. It's crucial to have these services and have these tools available for our communities and help them to achieve prosperity. We have also some opportunities for rural development customers that have been impacted by the COVID-19, and I'll cover some of the things and the actions that USDA has taken to assist our rural residents and businesses and communities. First, I would like to talk about our business and industry loan guarantees that offers loan guarantees to lenders for their loans to rural businesses. These businesses would have to plan to start a new business or have an existing business that they want to expand. So there's a maximum loan available for loan guarantees up to $25 million. Typically, it's 10 million or less. We found that it's typically that much, but it can go up to $25 million. And we can provide the loan guarantee to our lenders for 80%, 80% loan guarantee. And the purpose of the loan could be for real estate, to purchase a facility, equipment, for working capital, and for any type of business that is out there, such as retail, manufacturing, industry, services. We can provide a loan guarantee for those type purposes. But COVID-19, we provided a COVID-19 resource that's called the Business and Industry CARES Act program. And with this program, rural business and agricultural lenders can partner with us to help support and revitalize the economic infrastructure. And so for the first time, agriculture producers may access this program but it's only if they're ineligible for financing from Farm Service Agency. So just keep that in mind, but it is now available for agriculture producers. Not only that, it also offers a 90% guarantee for businesses and agriculture producers, whereas the original loan program, it provides 80%. And then it sets the guarantee fee at 2%. And whereas with the original loan program, it's at 3%. We also provide a maximum term of working capital for 10 years. With the original program, it's actually at 7 years. There has been some improvements and things that we provided for our small businesses and even our agriculture producers to upgrade and kind of bounce back from the COVID-19 impact. Another thing that you would need to keep in mind is that this program is only used to support rural businesses and agriculture producers that were in operation on February 15, 2020. So they would need to have been in operation as of February 15, 2020 to qualify. Now I'm going to move on to the Renewable Energy for America program. It provides 25% reimbursement grant for the purchase of it or installation of a renewable energy system or energy efficiency program. Or energy efficiency improvement. And so the type of projects that we can do through the renewable energy will be such as the biomass, the geothermal, wind, and solar. And solar is more prominent in the state of Tennessee. We do a lot of the solar projects. And with the energy efficiency improvement, we would fund projects such as improvements to heating, ventilation, cooling systems, refrigeration, the LED lighting. But this is available to small businesses and agriculture producers. If you plan on generating a renewable energy, such as solar, we could provide a grant up to $500,000. And for projects to increase the energy efficiency for your operation, we can make a grant up to $250,000. The grant will cover up to 25% of the eligible project cost. So just keep that in mind. And then the larger projects that exceeds $500,000, we also have a loan guarantee provided for that type, those larger scale projects for the Rural America Energy Program. So this program is used for developing and rural areas for the business and investing in energy improvements. The application process has actually closed for this particular period. It's closed March 31st, but we usually have another funding cycle when it comes to October 1st. Our new fiscal year will have another funding cycle, this program. And then also, I'd like to talk to you about the Value Added Producer Grant. Our Value Added Producer Grant is strictly for agriculture producers. And so if we have a producer that's planning on adding value to the product that they're already, or the produce that they're already in operation and producing, and they're wanting to add value to it, they're doing minimally processed and transforming that product to another state, such as grains to bread, or strawberries to jam and jelly. Those are some examples. We can even fund projects that are specially labeled or marketed goods, such as organic or locally grown. So if they have a produce that they want to change and add or jump to the value added production, then we can provide grant funds for that program. Now, if they are, there's two portions to this particular grant. There's a planning purpose. If you're in the planning stage and you want to do a feasibility study of some type, or do some type of research before you actually start your operation, then we can make a grant up to $75,000. If you are, you're already in operation and you needing to expand, or you have expanded to different new markets, and you need working capital, we can make a grant up to $250,000. Now, this program does require a match of 50%. So if we provide a $200,000 grant, then we would need the applicant to also provide $200,000 to complete the total project. So I want to make sure that you understand that. USDA extended the application deadline for this program. They extended it to May 4th, 2021, so that we will be able to support the agriculture producers that were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Also keep in mind that this program is highly competitive, and it will compete on the national level. So these applications go into our national, they go through the state office, but they are selected on the national level. So they are highly competitive, whereas our energy efficiency and renewable program, we actually get allocated funds on the state level for that program, and it's not as competitive as the value added. And so moving on to our Rural Business Development Grant Program. This grant program, it promotes long-term economic growth and community vitality. We can use this grant in so many broad ways, and so we encourage our nonprofits, even Indian tribes and public agencies, state agencies, government agencies to take advantage of this program. It is used to develop startup expansions of small emergency private businesses. And so some examples that we use the funding for with this grant is, with technical assistance to rural entrepreneurs. We do it for training, technology, and trade for rural businesses. And another thing to keep in mind with this grant, if you've noticed the farmers market throughout the state of Tennessee and a lot in the West Tennessee area, rural development invested into those farmers markets with the funding on those. So that is an eligible purpose as well for the Rural Business Development Grant. Tourism, we can invest in theaters and museums. If they're planning on using those facilities to assist those businesses, the businesses might be having meetings or they'll have events in those facilities. So our Rural Business Development Grant can definitely assist with those type projects. And the funding comes around once a year. These are, we get an allocation at the state level for this program. Projects and the amounts that we can provide usually range from 30 to 50,000. So more than likely you will, the entity will need some other resources to make their project work. But, you know, we have provided that amount for equipment or just to help and assist to complete a project to help with the building of a facility. So the Rural Business Development Grant is very key and very essential for our community in helping small businesses and helping them to be developed in the rural communities. Also, our community programs through our community and infrastructure programs, loan and grants. This program helps to construct and extend, improve water and waste disposable systems. So we do have a program for that, but then another portion of the community programs is our community facilities loan and grant. And this program is for any essential community facility that is needed to assist in that area. And so we're talking about projects such as healthcare, public safety, public services. Examples would be hospitals, fire stations, ambulance services, vehicles, nursing homes, childcare centers. It's just a lot of things that we can assist with. We also assist with this program with helping our farmers markets as well. We have provided some funding with the farmers markets as well with the community programs. This funding is available to our nonprofit organizations and municipalities and Indian tribes. And the program is, as far as the loan structure, it's a fixed rate and fixed term. So currently our interest rate is at 2.25%, and the terms can go up to 40 years. So we make it very affordable to our communities that are interested in this program. Rural communities are also, this community program is available for the COVID-19 opportunities, and we can use our funding to help with medical clinics, dental clinics, those clinics that need to expand or build more infrastructure to assist with different things that were needed for the COVID-19 healthcare facilities, hospitals, things like that. So the community programs has a broad array of purposes and things that we can do with that program. I also want to touch on the 502 housing loan. Our housing program is for individuals that are planning to purchase a home. If they're planning to purchase an existing, or they can purchase an existing, or they can construct a new home. All of our loans are 100% loans, and there are no private mortgages or any mortgage fees. So it is for the very low and the low income. It provides payment assistance that's available for the very low and the low income through this program. And so with our home ownership programs, also if your income exceeds the income for the 502 housing program, and it falls in the moderate income, that we have a loan guarantee that we can provide for at 100% as well. So that is that is our program is probably one of the most prominent programs in the nation because you really can't go to a bank or mortgage company and get a 100% loan. So we really invest in a lot of families and residents with this program. We also have a 504 repair and rehab program that is available for the very low income. And then for the elderly households, we can provide a grant program, a grant portion. For the loan portion, which is at 1%, we can make a loan up to $40,000. And for the elderly household that is qualifies for the grant, which is 62 or older, we can make a grant up to $10,000 for health and safety repairs. For the 1% loan, we can do pretty much any type of repair that you need in your home, such as appliances, electrical, foundations, roofing, flooring, septic tanks, health and safety hazards, those type of things. So just remember that that is available to the rural areas. If you have questions or you need information on whether you are eligible or not, you can always contact our office, but then we also have an eligibility website through our website, rd.usda.gov, that you can go and look and make sure that you're eligible. Now, all of our counties are pretty much, they are eligible for the housing program. We do have some limitations in Jackson and Memphis because, you know, they're urban status, but all the other surrounding counties, they are eligible for our housing program. So that's all that that I'm going to cover as far as programs today. Rural development is focusing and working on restoring America due to the COVID-19, and we're hoping to build the economy and make a difference in the quality of life, you know, for rural America. I thank ALCDC for having me, and I appreciate the partnership and all the partnerships that's here today. I'll be putting my contact information in the chat box if you are interested, have further interest in any of these programs, and I can definitely direct you to the contact person that you would need to pursue any of these programs. I appreciate it and thank you. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to entertain them.
There was someone in she someone had their hand raised for a question.
So that's a person who has their hand raised for that have a question. They're going to recognize that individual now. Mr. Tucker, can you pick them up? Ms. Bristol, what's your question?
That was an error. I'm sorry.
Oh, that was an accident? Okay. All right. Well, we want to thank Rural Development for that presentation, and Miss yes.
PDF they have a PDF uploaded.
Okay, we want to let the audience know that the PDF on Rural Development presentation has been uploaded now. So all the information, everything that was provided by the resource individual, you have direct access to. So you can download that information and do necessary follow-up and have the contact information that's been provided from that person. The person had their hand raised. Question, who is that? We'll recognize you now.
Good morning, Mr. King. This is Steve Mosher. I'm the program coordinator for USDA Rural Development for the South. We know each other well. Great presentation, Arissa. I wanted to mention that I put the rural development matrix in the chat, and also the I put in the chat that We have a COVID resource guide. I also wanted to mention that this Friday, if anyone's interested in distance learning telemedicine grant program, I'm working with Bill Vogt and the GFRs in the South, and we are hosting 2 workshops. One is on Friday from 10 to noon, and a second one is on the 13th from 10 to noon. So if anyone's interested, my information's in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me and I'll be glad to forward you the registration link. And again, it's good to see you this morning, Dr. King.
Thank you, Steve. It's great to have you on. Again, that information has been uploaded to PDF on the presentation and provided to you. There's another question?
We got 10 in the chat box.
Okay, look like we have 10 questions in the chat box. Could you give me actually what those questions are?
Oh, they're gone. That was there.
Okay, that was an error on that. Those questions are not there. All of our resource agencies, and everybody's had the presentation. If you have any questions at this point, we'll now open it up for questions. If not, I'm going to give my summary of remarks as well as an announcement. If anyone has an announcement they'd like to make, such as what Steve did, please do so at this point as well. We have another meeting that will be coming up on April the 15th. That also will be from 10 to 12. Now it's our anticipation, again, it is our goal is to create as much partnership as possible in this process as we work with NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Services, which is the lead agency that has been working with Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation that enable us to do this. Now, it is our job to do as much as possible to create this comprehensive partnership that provides an opportunity for community economic development, both from the urban and rural perspective, relative to agribusiness. Everything that you have heard presented today, for the most part, was related to agriculture, rural, or rural-related type of business enterprise. The Natural Resource Conservation Services, again, is so comprehensive as an agency and organization. But one thing is for sure, it impacts the lives of all beings as well as plant and animal. It has that type of impact based on the type of program and services that's provided by the agency that's not only relevant to our food supply but also to our environment as well, and to our wildlife habitat, nature in itself. The food supply, the quality of our food supply, and the type of practices that farmers and producers engage in to make that a possibility and allow us as a country to have the abundance of food supply that we have. Safe food supply, that being one. And again, the environmental impact and conservation practices based on how farmers engage in producing the products for our marketplace. And that's everything from our livestock to our vegetable products, and our fiber, and other areas. And we all know that it's imperative that we concern ourselves with the soil and our water quality and soil. We all know we have situations that like you engage with EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, both in urban and in rural areas where you have certain soil contaminations, and then you have an issue, you have a problem. And it limits, it really takes away a very valuable resource for whatever use it's being used for, be it for construction, building, other small business enterprise, or production agriculture. To this extent, on the conservation side, access to financing for urban and rural agriculture, the Small Business Administration, the resources they offer that supports the urban agricultural, as I call business, business enterprise component. And it may be, as rural development talked about, the added value. In other cases, you have individuals that are dealing with distribution type of operations. You know, from that perspective, it may be supplying local schools. It may be the actual market outlet that is doing the purchasing from the producers and dealing with the distribution operation back out to a local market. So the involvement, the engagement of those individuals on the production side as the local suppliers, and those individuals on the urban side from a business perspective, that creates the availability with the distribution type of business operation, and creating a greater opportunity for local food supply. And those type of partnerships are very, very crucial in this whole process. I want to say this as part of my closing point. On everything that has been said, both in NRCS, the starting point, you notice that were factors that were involved as part of the thing that was involved as part of the conversation that talked about income. You know, some of the determining factors on eligibility for certain areas was based on income. When you get to the Small Business Administration, I don't know if there's very much as much so driven by income as it is in some of the other areas. Farm Service Agency, you're going to find on the lending side, and this is just in a summary point to make sure there's some clarity, is that in order for you to qualify, as you qualify even as a beginning farmer, those who are involved, I mentioned that Farm Service Agency over a period of time should be dealing with how you graduate to go to another direct lender. But Farm Service Agency also, if you can get financing from another source, from a direct lender, based on what both your income, your overall, what your financial statements look like, capabilities look like, then it may be that FSA will tell you that you need to go to another lending institution first. If you cannot get financing from that other institution, then come back to them and they will be able to provide the necessary finance that's available to you. Just again, these are just some things, not going into detail about it, but you look at income, you look at capabilities overall, but from the underserved segments of our population and the minority segments of our population, in most cases, that's not an issue. That is not an issue, and it is an underserved segment of the population that we've been working with over the years. On the rural development side, grant loan programs, again, USDA is doing business in urban areas now. And to that extent, one thing that was very impressive, and hopefully those, I'm not sure about the population point, but if rural development would clarify this for me, I think in order for you to be eligible for those, the counties that have the rural small towns and areas, I think the population is at 35,000 or 25,000 rural development in order for those areas to qualify to receive some of the services you provide. Is rural development still on?
Yes. Yes. It's different for various programs. For the housing, it's 20,000 population or less. And if it's the business programs, anything related to the business programs, it would be 50,000 population or less. And then for our community programs, it would be 20,000 or less for that program. So it kind of varies. And, we would be glad to walk anybody through that's interested in those programs, but there is different population requirements for each program.
Thank you very much, Mr. I wanted to mention that, again, for clarity, it's important to ask those questions. Individuals, you're seeking certain services, depending upon what program area you're seeking services from rural development. You need to know whether there is, and depending upon where you live or the area and type of service that you're attempting to get from the agency, that being USDA, whether the population in your area, if it's above, meet the criteria with rural development. Just something to think about and a question to ask. If we're engaging in and we're dealing with the type of partnership and working back with USDA rural development. We know the rural areas qualified. I would encourage, particularly we have in our underserved communities and our rural communities, particular, you'll find a lot of housing issues that exist in those small towns. The loan grant program, the $20,000 grant and the $40,000 loan at the 1% interest rate, it does create a feasibility for individuals to do major home improvement. But I do want to say this, and I'm going to mention this in reference to, again, underserved population, underserved and unserved communities. One of the issues we've found as we work toward accessing resources in our local communities has been air property. It may be a homestead, it may be a home that was left by parents and a family member was living in it, and there's a need to do certain renovation on the home. And we see that particularly in a lot of our local areas. In order to be eligible for and to access those, I think Rule of Elders probably has the same eligibility requirement. You must have clear title and ownership. So if you know that the resource that you're in control of at this point in time, now it is air property, and that this is a barrier for you in accessing certain resources, we encourage you, give us a call, and we can go through the process with you to work toward removing that as a barrier and try to move you into a position to be able to access those resources that you may be in need of. The same thing would apply back on NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Services. Same thing is going to apply back with Farm Service Agency. And again, I want to mention this, air property is an issue. We need to look at it, we have to address it. And I encourage all families, family members, and those who are controlling certain assets that has value, but a need for resources to make certain improvements, do other things with those particular assets, to contact us, and we will work with you accordingly on the air property issue. Again, April 15th. I'm going to step out a little bit on this and say, and hopefully this will work, as we're working with Natural Resource Conservation Services and doing this type of outreach and trying to communicate with the public at large, making sure people are getting the information. Hopefully we'll be able to add another phase onto this, where not only will we have people that will be registering to participate directly by way virtually, hopefully we'll be able to connect back with radio broadcasts that when we put a meeting on, our meeting will be connecting also that will go back to another broadcast that will be recorded and go to a public broadcast at a later date. Now, again, that's not finalized yet. That's something that I'm looking at from that perspective. And our meeting and facilitation process will probably be by those individuals that deal with the various shows on those radio broadcasts. So the facilitation process by that individual, it will be a co-facilitation process by the radio station and myself. Again, we want to thank all of you for your participation, and we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.